morning. I'm Todd Trichler, and my guest this morning or this afternoon for Dimitri is Dimitri Gielis, who is both an Oracle ACE director and recently won in the ORDS category for our Oracle Database Developer Choice Awards. So congratulations, Dimitri.
Thank you.
It's very well deserved. I know that you contribute a lot in the communities, especially the Apex community, blogging way. Dimitri, I've got to ask you, I'm always interested, how did you get started? How did you get into the technology business?
It was actually my father. He had an Apple II, and then I was playing games on this Apple. And then when I was 10, I got an IBM computer, and that's how I started with like technology, and then I followed math and informatics, and yeah, then I created small applications on the side while I was studying, and then at the end I saw Oracle, and that's when I started to work with Oracle.
So did you actually study, when you say you were studying, were you actually studying computer science or information systems in college, or was it just a passion side hobby for you at that point in time?
No. So it has always been a passion for me from when I was really young, like who has, when he is 10, his own IBM.
Yeah.
But, so I was really passionate about that. And then I just followed my passion in school and in college and in university. So that's what I did. And I actually, before Oracle, I was working with Microsoft Access, and you might think, oh, that's like a small thing, but that's how I started, and it was fun, and I hacked with basic and like small things. But then when I saw actually, when I was playing with all those things, one thing I really loved was the data. And I always saw a lot of value in data for companies. And my uncle, he traveled around to like companies. He was an accountant. And he met very different companies. And they always had an issue, like if it is the stock, is it an invoice, managing their clients. And then he always said, oh, I know somebody who can help you. And then that's how I built those small applications for them. And the data was just invaluable. And when I saw Oracle, like I said, what can I do in my life? And then Oracle is the biggest database in the world. So I said, oh, I really want to work for them one day. And so even while I was starting, I did an interview while I was studying. I did an interview with Oracle, and they said, "Oh, you're hired." So just after my university, I started to work for Oracle as a consultant.
Wow, you went straight into it, mainly because your uncle had been pimping you out to various different companies as hey, this is my IT fix-it guy, huh?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It was fun.
That's great. There's a lot to be said for following your passions.
Yes.
So Dimitri, you've obviously done a lot of different projects over the years. What are some of your favorite projects in terms of using the database? Is there any particular features in the database that you really like to leverage?
So when I started with Oracle, it was all about the database, and I was actually in the DBA team, or the experts team, it was called at Oracle. So I like to do things with the data and the database. So if I could do things with SQL, I would always prefer to do it with SQL. And structuring your data, that was really important for me. And then like using analytical functions, those are the types of things that I like to use. And then when Apex came around, you could just leverage your skills that you had in SQL, PL SQL in a web environment. So that's what I find most interesting from the technology side of view. Then for projects, as a consultant, I went to very different companies. Sometimes it was for very small assignments, just to be a fireman when they had an issue.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then otherwise it was like doing a bigger project. And that's what I've been doing in the last years, doing bigger projects. But really what I understood, like I like very different things. So I really love to see different industries, different clients, meet different people. So I really enjoyed that. But what I found the last years is that I also want to do something good for the community and for
Uh-huh.
the humanity, if you like.
Yeah.
So it has always been my ambition to reach the technical high level. But when once you reach a certain degree, then I wanted to do something more for the other people. So then like a lot of the companies I work for now are in pharma or in healthcare.
Okay.
So and I enjoy that as well to do some products that help bringing, for example, medication on the market. So that's what we try to investigate in as well, to spend some time to bring innovation in those companies. And actually, everything got triggered by close members of my family who got cancer, and then friends actually as well,
Uh-huh.
even in the Oracle community. And then you think, oh, what will I do with my life? And that's, yeah, when you start thinking about how can I use my knowledge and my things where I'm good at in a better way. And that's how you do that then. Like we build
Excellent.
now.
So a lot of your personal life is actually driving the passion and saying, well, technology isn't just fun to play with, but it's actually useful to make people's lives better.
Yes, and things change. Obviously, when I was younger, things were a bit different. When you have children, things get changed again. Another thing I really like is working on our own product now. Like we have Apex Office Print. It's like a plugin for Apex. So I like Apex is my passion, and I really love the product. But there's one thing. It's like it has more difficulties to do, like printing. And then I waited a long time. The community searched for different solutions, and finally we said, okay, let's build something. And that opened a complete different way of looking at like doing development. When you just do custom development for one client, you just have to think about that. When you're doing like product development, it's very different. And doing the product, it's the easy thing. It's the marketing. It's like the support, everything that comes with it makes it a challenge. And also like managing your life cycle, your releases, all those things that makes it really interesting. So I love to do both, like from products, even like meeting people, helping people with their whatever they need, and then having our own products in a way that it helps the bigger community and not just the technical people.
Uh-huh. So the plugin is you said on the printing side.
Yeah.
What exactly does it do?
So what I always envisaged is that Apex is so declarative, you can build your applications really fast. But when I wanted like a document, just like, for example, a PDF document, that was not easy. I wanted to just use Word, create my template in there, or even get it from a business person, put some tags in, and have that produce my printing document, just like BI Publisher is doing actually.
Yeah.
But BI Publisher is very, very expensive. So many of the people who are using Apex can't use that. And that's what we do. So you can create your template in Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. And then you use the plugin, and that merges your data with the template, and it generates the data or your document in docx, like in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or PDF. So, and we focus on to be really fast, easy, simple. So what we try to do. And it's really integrated as well with all the features that Apex has. Like if you have an interactive report, which is a really fantastic feature of Apex, and people want to print that, well, they can just use our plugin and it will be exactly what they have on the screen, they will have on paper as well, but with their template. And
so it actually allows you to, I mean, Apex has always allowed you to pull in Excel spreadsheet and document and data like that very easily into Apex. But this actually allows you to, I guess, get it out to printing or PDF in a very easy way. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you mentioned how you worked with a bunch of different companies, and you mentioned working with like pharmaceutical companies. I'm assuming that, I mean, my sense is that Europe always has a little bit more in terms of the red tape and the standards for businesses to operate in than sometimes the States does. I'm sure, like I know there's a European equivalent to HIPAA. When you're working with that, what are some of the more challenging things that you've done with Apex that really lets you see in terms of does it work in environments like that? I mean, even in Europe where you have a little bit more red tape in that?
It's definitely a challenge. The Privacy Commission, for example, in Belgium, it's heavy. All the regulations there are quite heavy. So around all the procedures, let me just focus on the technical part of it. So on the technical side, to meet all those criteria, to be secure, and to know who did what at every time every time, then you really see that you're so happy that you're working with Oracle, because Oracle provides you a lot of those features out of the box. So for example, that's why I had to, I looked at real application security to have an end-to-end security solution from the database till the application. So that's what I recommend people to do if they go in those types of environments. Try to use the features that Oracle or like another company has done, and don't try to build it yourself because it's so hard. And that's, yeah, we are lucky we are in the Oracle database because it has so many features to encrypt your data, to audit your data, to know, to limit it in every possible way. So, yes.
So when, I mean, these type of mandates and policies and regulations that, they have in, say, Europe and elsewhere, they actually detail, what level of detail are they actually expecting the companies to adhere to? I mean, we're talking separation of policy, separation of who can see what, how much auditing is actually required by stuff like that when you're actually dealing with that? What specific issues are you addressing there when you're trying to use Apex to solve that?
Like everything is solvable, but if you need to have full auditing on, that's just, yeah, you have to either build it with triggers or use database auditing. So yeah, the other thing that you have to take care of is, like, you have to keep the data for 15 years. That's not an issue if you keep it in the database, but where's your data? Is it in a data center? Are you going with Oracle Cloud? Like, those are the challenges today. And for a smaller company, like, how can they trust a smaller company to deal with those things? So there's not really a technical challenge in that respect. Like, everything is there with Oracle. It's just, yeah, you have to plumb everything together and be confident for your customer that you can deliver that. And the way the like another example is in Belgium, every patient needs to be able to see his own records.
Okay.
So you have, when you build your application, you have to be able to say that person, or at least have an extraction that a person can see his own record. So it's not enough to just build something for the doctor. No, you have to build something that the client can see, and the law, like, it even goes further, because if you go in hospital and a doctor needs to know more information about you, in Belgium there's a platform, it's called eHealth platform, that allows you to, that everybody can see your data in case they are allowed to, or in case of urgency.
Okay.
So it means you have to integrate with those types of platforms that the government is giving to you. And the way you do that is with REST data services, but that has a lot of security. Like, they offer a lot, or they say you have to do a lot of security. They provide connectors to their platform, but what do they provide? Java and .NET.
Okay.
So there's no Apex there. There's no PL SQL there. So we have to build that ourselves. And that's a challenge. Like, you have a very big community with Java, you have a very big community with .NET. So you come in with another technology. So how do you deal with that? But having said that, Apex, it's in the web, and it's not just Apex, it's also smartphones, HTML5 applications. So all those types of applications, they come in at this stage. And just the government is so slow, and all the regulations, they are so slow and bureaucratic that they didn't manage to transform themselves fast enough.
Okay.
So it takes 1-2 years before they actually have everything in place. So you just take your smartphone and you can get to your data, or your data is sent away. That's another project we have been working on, like, use a smartphone to, or like your Apple Watch, or just Android Wear, to capture the data automatically and send it to the Oracle database. But again, like, that data, it needs to be secure, it needs to be safe, secure. Who can see that data? So there's a lot of things to build around that as well.
So you're saying that they use REST in there, REST services. So can you use ORD to just integrate with that, or what is that? Is that what you're actually doing with it?
Yes. So that's what we're doing. We developed Oracle REST data services, and then we call that from the smartphone application, we call the ORDS web services. So we do it in that project. And with Apex Office Print, for example, we have a lot of REST web services as well. And that was one of the key things why I had to go so deep into ORDS to understand how it worked, and I had to do all the research on that.
Nice. So actually, for once, red tape worked in your favor. You had an excuse to delve deeper into the technology, huh?
So that platform, it's there, but it's still in development. And the way they do it at this stage, so every doctor has an electronic dossier of the patient or of the person, and they share some of the information in that platform. And we, as a patient, we have to say, this doctor is allowed to see my data.
Okay.
But there's an exception in case of urgency, but I don't know what defines if it is really urgent or not. But I guess when you're dying, when you get in the hospital, then there's a method to overrule that the decision, I guess, and then they can see your data. But again, I guess
if there's no next of kin that they know of, and the guy's unconscious, and they need to operate quickly, and he's got complications, I guess a scenario like that would probably be something where they'd need to get access quickly. Yes,
they try to do that, but like the last year, I've been going to many of those talks, and the government is just searching themselves still, like, what is the best way. And like, not every doctor has an electronic file yet of the patient, so that's an issue.
Yeah.
So digitalizing that world is it's an enormous effort. And then you have the different hospitals, and maybe Belgium is a complex country. Like, we are very small, but we have 3 languages we speak. It's a challenge, but I guess that's the challenge of the world.
Dimitri, anything new and cool that you're playing with at the moment?
So what I try to do, as we are with Apex in the web, is looking at what is the web coming up with, and the web is going so fast. So one of the new, like last year, I looked at web components. That's to easily share common things you do, or build plugins for the web, actually. That was last year, and this year I've been looking at service workers, and I actually gave some presentations about that last week in Germany. How to do like a service worker in Apex, and a service worker that is built to give you rich offline experiences, or give native push notifications without a native application, so just from HTML. And a service worker is like a little script that's in the middle based on JavaScript that handles those things. So it's looking at the network, like, is there something, and then it will pop up, or it will do something in the background. So that's, I think that's something that will come up in the next years, service workers. It's very interesting. Like, you have your browser closed, my Apex application is closed, but still I get a notification of my application. And you can only do that with a service worker.
So that's helps you with disconnected and the stateless fact that the internet and HTTP is stateless. Is that kind of the area that it's trying to solve in mobile, especially in mobile? I would think it'd be really helpful.
Yes. So it serves different purposes. Also, like geofencing, like when your script is running there in the background, and it knows that you came close to a certain place, maybe it triggers something. So geofencing is something that they look at as well. No, so this is something that I looked at then this year, but not every browser has developed this yet, or has it included yet in their specs. But I believe this is something that will come very soon. So I see it, a good purpose for it.
And that's is that technology being driven out of the browser area, or is it being driven out of the JavaScript, not PHP, but the HTML5? Who's driving that?
Yeah, I don't know it exactly. Like Mozilla, or like the big companies in the web, they drive this. I don't think it's especially linked to HTML5, but it's like the like Google and Mozilla who are trying to push this, and then like the web community is around this now. But before we or like major players like Oracle will adopt it, that always takes a little bit of time. But nothing stops us from using this technology now.
So it's still in that phase where people are still saying, well, here's my implementation of it, and here's my implementation of it, and they haven't really said, okay, here's the standard yet. Which is
the specs are not definite yet, and they're still working on the specifications. So things are still changing. But that's when you do the newest and coolest things. When you look at those, like, you never know if the investment in time is worth it. But that's the fun as well. Like, I still like to be that young boy that sees like different things and tries different things, and I hope I will never lose that. But it's just finding a way to be a good father, be a good business person, or like leader of your company, being a good developer, staying up with the community. So it's juggling all those things around.
Well, Dimitri, congratulations so much on winning in the ORDS category, and thank you again just for all of your contributions and your blog, and just the plugin, the Apex plugin, just Great job talking with you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Todd.